Your season is an eye blink away from being over 3 weeks ago, and instead, they are putting together one of the great magic carpet rides that we have ever seen. Talk to me about this, DJ Burns, because I think America is going nuts.
Going nuts, but this is a little bit of Jimmy V. They didn't think we had a chance. You know, in '83, it looked a lot like it does in 2024, but DJ Burns is impossible to defend. I mean, he's a wide body, carves out space, great footwork, terrific passer out of double teams. Absolutely impossible to game plan for. But you have to do something. To me, I was disappointed in Duke and the inability to maybe give him a different look. Show some coaching agility. What I mean by that, if he's absolutely burying you on the block, you've got to double him, you've got to run a second defender at him, then you've got to force him to be a passer. I know he's a great passer, but when that thing gets thrown out, you can then rotate and force an extra pass and force a contested three. Choice was made to play him man-to-man. You know what? You cannot guard that guy one-on-one. He absolutely dominates the paint.
And Filipowski fouls out of the game and has a really tough night. And Ryan Young can't handle a kid that big. NC State, how about Duke? I mean, this looked like halftime. I was as convinced as I could be that Duke was going to win that game. Yeah,
because they weren't playing well and they still had a lead. I'm surprised Sean Stewart didn't play a lot more minutes in this ball game. That's what he played out against NC State. That's what helped him the first time around. I agree with Seth on the multitude of looks. I thought they would have given them some zone, given them some different matchups, even though he is a good passer. The thing that's hard about this, though, is that if you're John Shire or if you're a Duke or a fellow alumni, there's not too many times that the basketball gods are going to give you an easier path to the Final Four. Okay? You played against Vermont. You played against JMU. You played against Houston with Jamal Shed, the heart and soul of that team being out early in the game, not coming back. And then you get an 11th seed in the tournament for a chance in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four. But that's how the ball bounces, man. And DJ Burns is America's big man.
Yeah.
This dude is like, he has Shaq's personality. And by the way, watching him against Zach Edey, it's going to be like twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, yet add 10 inches to them both. That's what it's going to be like.
You want to talk about a clash of the Titans. We'll have all week to set that thing up. But Purdue and NC State figures to be the two big men, and we'll see where it goes from there. In the meantime, I have been calling this thing the UConn Invitational. And Uncle Seth, you and I have been talking about it. I mean, what they did, Seth and I, as we were getting his microphone ready, we're just chatting. I haven't seen a lot of 30-0 runs in my 50 years of watching basketball, Seth, and I don't know how many times you've seen it. How do you describe what we saw UConn do to an excellent Illinois team on Saturday night?
It was dominating. You know, Greeny, I might have seen a couple 30-0 runs, but maybe they were against my team. That's why I'm hanging out talking to you. It was dominating on both sides of the floor. I mean, Donovan Clingan took over this game. Danny Hurley decided to put Donovan Clingan on Ty Rodgers. He played in the middle of the rim, blocked everything. They got out in transition. The pieces just fit. This is the most dominating team in recent years of college basketball. You've had great teams. Jay Will, you played on a great team. The Florida back-to-back teams were great teams. You've seen teams win back-to-back championships, but not in the manner in which this team plays. The closest thing I can remember is the UNLV teams that didn't win back-to-back championships that I had a chance to play against when I was at Long Beach State. But they dominate you offensively, defensively, collectively. They share the basketball. It's absolutely a clinic.
Yeah, the UNLV teams he's talking about, you were talking 2 generations ago. That's Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon and all of those guys.
But also that Florida team had the same cast of characters. These are 2 different casts of characters.
Completely different teams.
It's unbelievable what we're saying.
Again, you were on that Duke team. Like, finish this sentence. What we're watching right now from this UConn team, they are the best team we've seen since who?
I don't know, Greeny. Like, this is...
You guys have beat them?
I think we would have given them. Yeah, I think we would have.
Different era.
But still, we're comparing different generations, and what they're doing to their contemporaries is mind-boggling to me, right? Like, I think the only word to describe Danny Hurley and UConn right now is dynastic. Like, it's turning into that. And I will say this: as much as I want to see the story of the Cinderella, I know they say they're not a Cinderella, as an 11th seed, NC State, get to a championship, where I love Nate Oates. We have 3 high school coaches in the Final Four right now: Kevin Keats, Nate Oates, Dan Hurley at St. Benedict's, what they've been able to do. It does feel like the only team who has a legitimate chance to beat UConn is Purdue because of Zach Edey. Like, he's the one guy that feels like he's a walking force that can actually impose his will against the likes of Donovan Clingan or Sampson. But still, you're still going to give the advantage to UConn because of how their guards defend against the likes of Fletcher Lawyer and also Braden Smith.
If you play them within double digits, it feels like a moral victory. They're so head and shoulders above the rest of this field.
Do you disagree with me on that comment? You were shaking your head.
I think the only team that has a chance is Alabama because the style of play. Can they impose their identity on the game, make 18 threes? That's the only team that has a shot at them.
I'm old enough to remember when people were saying the only team that might beat them is Illinois, and then 30-0 later,
40-0,
maybe not so much. Nobody's going to beat them.